everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and today we're going to talk about some rumours that I discussed very briefly in my chat with Cody Bonds, which is that there's been some whispers throughout the grapevine that Dawn of War, a title very close to people's hearts, might actually be returning at some point. Maybe sooner than expected, within a year or two. I do know that some other people have been discussing rumours that they're hearing, so I think it's about time that I discuss the stuff that I've been hearing too. So for those not aware, Dawn of War is a massive, or better yet said, was a massive game series that basically brought Warhammer into the mainstream. I know that sounds very odd to hear, but Dawn of War 1 was one of the pinnacles of RTS games, and its 3 other expansions were pretty good. I know some people didn't like Soulstone too much, but it was phenomenal. And it's something that still gets updated today through modders. A lot of people have been keeping the scene alive for Dawn of War 1. The game had a little bit of everything. You see, not only was the story fairly well written, I'm talking about Dawn of War 1, there was a variety of different factions that you could play, each expansion bringing in new factions, and it was solid gameplay. It was base building. It was typical RTS like Age of Empires, which is what a lot of people wanted back then, but not only that, it's what people want now. Yes, a lot of people want the traditional RTS games to return. I don't know why a lot of devs are going with a silly type of squad-based stuff lately. It's not good. That paved way for a radical change with Dawn of War 2, where it turned more into a squad-based game. Story-wise, it was pretty decent, though, and gameplay-wise, it was still relatively solid. Not as well-loved as Dawn of War 1, for obvious reasons, but overall, yeah, I wouldn't complain. I would say that it's one of those things that it was competitive multiplayer, and that's what Relic were unfortunately trying to go for. They were trying to go for the multiplayer scene. They were trying to be the next Warcraft 3. And they could have probably done that, but they decided to change it up again and actively screw over the community by releasing Dawn of War 3. The second sequel, but so far from the first, it wasn't really a Dawn of War game anymore. This now became a MOBA, a glorified MOBA with a frankly insulting and horrendously written story. Don't get me wrong, a lot of Warhammer lore is relatively badly written, let's be honest here, but this was something special. I mean, who doesn't want to see a Terminator doing backflips? Wow. Yeah, and since that happened, the franchise died. Yeah, it's kind of disappointing. This came out in 2017. We've had no games in the Dawn of War sphere since then. We know that they actually had plans for DLC and so on, but I guess they realized they can't screw over the Warhammer fanbase because, as we all know, the Warhammer fanbase is very vindictive. But every now and then, since the death of Dawn of War, there's been some rumors that that franchise is going to get revived sooner or later. Mostly because the developers are still active. Relic Entertainment are still up and running, originally on the THQ and then bought out by SEGA, and well, things haven't been going too well for Relic lately, have they? They released Companies of Heroes in such a poor state that SEGA decided to do what SEGA are currently doing to Creative Assembly. They decided to gut them and fire a bunch of developers. And just like the Creative Assembly stuff that we're currently dealing with, it's kind of been heard that a bunch of projects that were planned have been cut in order to focus on stuff that they know is going to be more profitable. What would be more profitable than another Dawn of War? Obviously, it can't be done in the style of Game 3 and possibly even Game 2, as those were not as big as Game 1, which is where the rumors start coming in. There are lots of rumors that we might see a remake or a remaster. For those not aware, the remake stuff is pretty much getting the same game and giving it a new coat of paint, fixing up some stuff. The perfect example would actually be in the Total War sphere, where we had Rome and then they had Rome remastered. So just making it better. And yeah, it's not a bad thing, but I've also heard rumors of a total remake, building it from the ground up and expanding it from there. Basically, starting from fresh and calling it Dawn of War 1. Which might be a good idea, to be honest, as it would allow for more freedom to be able to explore the lore a little better and maybe just kind of ignore the sequels like they never happened, which would probably be a good idea. Remasters can be a good idea, but a total remake would make things a lot better. Let's be honest, the graphics haven't really aged too well. Gameplay could be improved in various locations, not just the minor stuff which would justify a remaster, and yeah, you could probably go full ham, make something pretty interesting. But then you would say, well, why a remake, why not a reboot? And yes, there have been rumours of that too, but they've been very faint. It could be very much possible, as they would probably want to cash in on the popularity, the ever-growing popularity of Warhammer 40,000, considering that 10th edition has just recently released. We're likely to get some news on the TV shows relatively soon. I'm imagining within a year or so, and then we've heard the rumors of Total War 40k. That means that you could have two titles running alongside each other, basically in a symbiotic way to perpetually promote each other, which, yeah, I kind of like the idea. A reboot of the franchise, completely starting from fresh, no lore from Game 1 or Game 2, could actually work, considering that maybe Games Workshop don't want to focus too much on Firstborn Marines, as obviously they're pushing more and more towards Primaris. So maybe it could be done in such a way that maybe the lore did exist for Game 1, or just completely new, a refounding of the Blood Ravens chapter, which actually is something that Games Workshop have done before. They've done a refounding of the Soul Drinkers. Mind you, it doesn't look like the Soul Drinkers are going to go back to where they were, but hey, so loyal, right? Kind of falls in the thin grey line of, is it a sequel or a spiritual successor? But it does make a lot of sense. SEGA have seen the value of Warhammer titles, especially with the Total War series, so it's likely that they're going to start pushing a few there. There is a very good relationship between SEGA and Games Workshop for some reason. Well, actually, it makes a lot of sense. Both of those companies are pretty scummy, so yeah, you know, they hang out together like flocks. There are not a lot of rumors out there, so I just wanted to talk about these quite briefly, and yeah, I mean, I'm kind of excited about the idea of it. I think it's very believable. The sources that I've been hearing from are actually very reputable. A lot of stuff that I've heard from them in the past have actually come true, even more so than they've told me, so I have no reason to believe that this isn't true. The one thing that does worry me, and we do have to talk about the negative here, is SEGA have been consistently fucking up lately, so hopefully they don't do this here. Because look, a lot of stuff that has recently been released under SEGA, like for example Total War Warhammer 3, or even, well, Company of Heroes, perfect example for RELIC obviously, those are games that should have been delayed once again rather than being launched, and it does worry me if this is going to be the case here. They're trying to hit Warhammer just to get a quick buck, because Warhammer brings money, yes, that's very, very true, but Warhammer fans can also quickly abandon titles, so let's hope that things work out. I'm not trying to be negative, I'm just being realistic here. We've been there before, we've seen it with loads of Warhammer games where they release like garbage, like Necromunda Underhive Wars and so on. I just don't want this to happen to a potential glorious return to Dawn of War. Because if Dawn of War comes back, I'm telling you boys, I will not leave my house for months. And even more so when modders get involved and start adding in other stuff, right? So, yeah. But let me know what you guys think. Do you want a remake, a reboot, or a remaster? They're very faint rumors, so I just wanted to talk about them all together. If anything new comes up, we'll talk about it. But until then, see ya guys, and have a great day.